Welcome and bienvenidos to this video about political art in Mexico from 1920 to 1950. Let's start with a general historical context. Political art can serve many purposes. In the pieces presented throughout the video, they reflect overall connection to the injustice of the social and political structures that were in place at the time this art style was created. This type of art can be defined as portrayal. Portrayal is defined by Kevin O'Crahan in his article Political Art, in which he states that portrayal covers art that says this is what's happening if, is happening now, or happened in the past. This kind of art describes events or situations that people find themselves in as a result of social or political structures. Any political perspective is implicit in the art, but is also free-floating. That is to say, the art can be interpreted differently by both sides of the people. Political art has served many purposes in many different cultures throughout the world. The purpose of political art is to bring to light ideas that may be concealed, not well known to the masses, or injustices that people face. How it started. Artistic explorations flourished during the 1920s and 1930s, during global economic depression and the rise of international fascist regimes. It also rose after Mexican and Russian revolutions. Figurative and realistic images of lower/middle classes, labor unionists, and politically disenfranchised were created. Radical artists at the time focused on creating prints, murals, and posters for as many public places as possible. One of the groups created during this time was Liga de Escritores y Artistas Revolucionarios, or LEAR, League of Revolutionary Writers and Artists. This group was founded by Leopoldo Mendez, Pablo Higgins, and others like Marion Greenwood. LEAR was committed to the society/class struggle. The first piece of art in this video is entitled Calaveras Televisiosas, and it was created by Leopoldo Mendez in 1949. Mendez remains in relative obscurity due to his want and willingness to collaborate with other artists, preferring to showcase the other artists. At the time of this print, World War II had ended, and just 4 years earlier, Mexico had undergone great industrial and economic growth, but the gap between the richest and poorest segments continued to increase. Calaveras is a popular style of artwork. It dates back to the 1500s and is commonly used during the Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead celebrations in Mexico. The use of skeletons is seen as a way to make everybody of equal standing, as death is viewed as a great equalizer. Calaveras Televisiosas was produced around the time of Dia de los Muertos, making the calaveras an important element to telling the story. The art piece, Calaveras Televisiosas, is a satire about the extravagant lifestyle of the rich in Mexico, who are seen on the television in lavish clothing with wine, while the common people are left out in the cold, watching the scene through a storefront window. The rich portrayed as plump and happy with their success, while the poor onlookers portrayed as thin and unhappy observers. The rich are all shown as male, while the poor are given differentiation, showing men, women, children, and infants. This is done to connect the concept of the struggle to everyday people who share the struggle versus the stereotypical rich male of excess. The second piece of art in this video is entitled For Franco. It was created by Pablo Higgins in 1938. The print For Franco attacks members of the pro-fascist Spanish community in Mexico City. A capitalist vulture controls sacks of beans and corn, a shopkeeper raises his prices, bags of money are stored in the pro-Franco Casino Español. Depicted are large skeletons of vultures, who represent evil capitalists. These vultures take advantage of the working class depicted as small people that have to do most of the work to produce goods. The vultures then create monopolies out of their system and raise the prices of goods to maximize profits at the expense of these workers, who receive little to no pay most of the time. The next piece of art for this video comes from Jose Guadalupe Posada, and is dated roughly between 1900 to 1913. It's entitled Gran Calavera Electrica. This print shows a large skeleton hypnotizing a group of skulls and a sitting skeleton. An electric streetcar with skeletons as passengers is in the background. Now, the folk art created by Posada and Gran Calavera Electrica depicts a skeleton hypnotizing other skeletons because it was made to show how fascinated with electricity the people of Mexico City were, which electricity had barely made a debut in Mexico City. Jose Guadalupe Posada opened his own business of making posters, and when religion came around, he decided to join in and make controversial political posters. He is known for drawing everyone as a skeleton, to represent the fact that no matter if you're rich or poor, everyone dies, which is what relates every person to one another. Posada's best-known works are his calaveras, which often assume various costumes, such as the Calavera de la Catrina, the skull of the female dandy, which was meant to satirize the life of the upper classes during the reign of Porfirio Diaz. Most of his imagery was meant to make a religious or satirical point. Since his death, however, his images have become associated with the Mexican holiday Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. The final piece of art in this video is by Marion Greenwood in 1934, entitled The Industrialization of the Countryside. Originally from the US, Marion Greenwood's stairwell piece culminates a scene that shows stevedores fighting police in the port of Tampico. This scene exposed how food production and distribution are controlled by capitalist forces detrimental to the poor. This scene also shows other world events, such as the rise of Nazism, world warfare, and what seems to be big corporate hands representing the rise of capitalist venture, and monopolistic businesses, as well as the rise in industrialization. All of this goes on while the average citizens live in poor conditions as the rich get richer. Funded by the Mexico City government, the Mercado Rodriguez was a vast public works project in a downtrodden neighborhood north of Zocala. 10 artists, including Liara members Pablo Higgins, Antonio Pujol, and U.S. artists Grace Greenwood, Marion Greenwood, Isamu Noguchi, and others created this mural. The city initially requested the artists depict positive images related to health, hygiene, and food in praise of the post-revolutionary regime. After the art becomes involved, they instead use their walls to emphasize lurking dangers including poverty, unemployment, suppression of strikes, and the threat of war, fascism, and imperialism. Greenwood was also involved with other Mexican artists at the time, including Diego Rivera. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Here's all the references in case you want to go ahead and read some of this stuff. Learn a little bit more. Thanks.